right now at 6.
This was quite a storm that we had last night. It was tough on our city.
It's a day spent surveying the damage and cleaning it up, all left behind by yesterday's severe storm.
And after a quiet day today, tomorrow it looks like strong storms could set their sights on western Pennsylvania all over again. I'm timing those in.
Plus, when will the power be restored to your neighborhood? And what should folks be doing in the meantime?
This is one of the top 3 events in my 40-year history, having worked in the utility business.
And how our local businesses and restaurants are dealing without power.
Now, live on KDKA-TV and streaming on CBS News Pittsburgh. This is the KDKA-TV News at 6.
Makes you humble now to feel the power of nature.
24 hours now after a storm like no other roared through our area, the cleanup is now underway. And tonight, the question hundreds of thousands of customers have is, when will my power be back on? A spokesperson for Duquesne Light is calling this storm an unprecedented event. There's really never been anything quite like it. At this hour, Duquesne Light says more than 126,000 customers are without electricity. First Energy is reporting about 150,000 customers out.
Based on what we know, and notwithstanding weather that's predicted in the coming days that could be impactful, we're estimating 5 to 7 days of restoration time at the moment.
Now, within the last hour, a disaster emergency has been declared for Allegheny County and the city of Pittsburgh. Thanks for being with us at 6. I'm Kim Gable.
And I'm Josh Taylor. Ken Rice has the night off.
Our city has always come together in times like these. We are a resilient city. And I'm just asking for some patience as we clear the roadways. I know it's an inconvenience. We acknowledge that. But we also acknowledge that safety is paramount.
It has been a rough 24 hours for several communities throughout southwestern Pennsylvania. Many are cleaning up, surveying the damage left behind by yesterday's storm. And KDKA has crews throughout the area tracking everything from how businesses are dealing with power outages to communities cleaning up today.
We're going to start with KDKA's Jessica Riley, who is working to find out when customers could get that power restored.
Yeah, hundreds of thousands of people's power was knocked out by those storms, and Duquesne Light Company says it could be an estimated 5 to 7 days before they even see complete restoration.
It is already clear that this is an unprecedented event in the history of Duquesne Light Company. And personally for me, I've been in the utility business for 40 years. This is one of the top 3 events in my 40-year history.
Right now, homeowners are focused on getting ice and powering those to stay safe.
We're lucky we have a generator in the back, and we've been able to keep the refrigerator on so our food doesn't spoil, but I can't say that for everybody else.
We actually, Instacarted some ice over because our fridge is out, so we needed something to keep our food cold.
Duquesne Light Company says throughout tomorrow, 400 additional crews and resources will be coming to the area for assistance. But while many question when their power will turn on, Duquesne Light Company says there's a prioritization process.
Our first focus is safety, clearing hazards, yes, restoring service as we can, but primarily safety focused.
So far, Duquesne is still assessing the situation and doesn't plan on a full assessment until this evening or tomorrow. That means an outage map with estimated restoration times likely won't be available till then. The utility says the damage to transmission and distribution systems is extensive, and if more bad weather hits this week, it could push restoration times back more. For customers, they just want their lights back on.
5 to 7 days? Wow. Okay. Wow. Well, it's a wonder because they usually have this area back on right away because of the street lights in the school.
And if you are in need of assistance, including safety, utility, or emergency aid, we will have those phone numbers on our website, KDKA.com. In Brookline, Jessica Riley, KDKA-TV News.
And as Pittsburghers always do, neighbors are helping neighbors in so many ways in this time of need. Here's just one example. The South Buffalo Volunteer Fire Department offering freezer space to anyone who doesn't have power. The department posting on social media. It has space for people to store food and also endless outlets if you need to charge something, as well as a roaster full of hot dogs and cold drinks.
And we have more video sent into the newsroom tonight of storm damage. This video is from Mount Lebanon. The weight of a falling tree crushed someone's home.
Yeah, check out this video. This is something a viewer sent us, his doorbell camera recording the moment a tree fell directly on his vehicle. No one hurt there, thankfully.
And you can see just how powerful yesterday's winds were blowing. Lucas Booth sent us this video from his home in Swissvale. His hanging baskets were really whipping around in the wind. Governor Josh Shapiro is in town this evening touring the damage from the storm, including Fiore's Pizza in Brookline. The business has been condemned after losing parts of its roof. Allegheny County and the city of Pittsburgh have both declared disaster emergencies, allowing them to bypass normal procedures and immediately deploy all available resources. The governor is promising full support from the state.
We have numerous PennDOT assets on the ground that have been out inspecting bridges and roadways to make sure they are not compromised, so it's safe for motorists, safe for pedestrians and others. PennDOT, PEMA, and the entire Shapiro-Davis administration will continue to be on the scene as long as it takes. As the executive mentioned, some weather is expected tomorrow. We are tracking that, and we'll be prepared to assist with any further damage should that come.
Yeah, so we have the governor here on the ground now. We had the National Weather Service in town earlier today, and now that disaster declaration, too. I mean, so much happening in the wake of that storm.
And you heard the governor talk about how they expect more coming tomorrow. We have Ray Petlin here to explain just exactly how that might time out. Ray?
Yeah, this next batch of storms is moving in. Quickly, I noticed a lot of people are starting to use and get generators. Make sure you read that generator safety part of your manual. You want ventilation from that, and you'll never want to fill it up while it's running. So make sure you just follow the directions with that. We want everyone to be safe with those generators out there. And with those extra crews coming in tomorrow, they're going to have to sort of time around some thunderstorms that are going to be moving in, especially for tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, as the next batch is setting its sights on western Pennsylvania. And this is going to bring us the prospect of scattered strong to severe thunderstorms. So tomorrow, another KDKA First Alert Weather Day. Horrible timing for this, as many people are still cleaning up from yesterday's storms, and that cleanup is going to continue into tomorrow while those storms are moving in. The main threats: damaging winds and hail. I do not think this is going to be an event like we had yesterday, but that said, we just had an event, and we're going to have some gusty winds coming in with the next one, and that could create some additional problems. So tomorrow is a First Alert Weather Day. You'll want to watch for damaging winds and hail. Pay attention to your surroundings, especially during the afternoon as those thunderstorms start to make their progress towards us. We don't need to worry about those thunderstorms this evening. It's going to be very nice. Temperatures low 70s, Pittsburgh and south. You get the mid to upper 60s for the most part north of town. Very light winds. And what we're going to end up with is a few clouds starting to mix in as the night continues. But overnight, very comfortable conditions. Tomorrow, our temperatures make a run for the low 80s, but that heat, that's just one of the variables for these thunderstorms to work with, and that's going to turn on those thunderstorms, especially for the middle parts of the afternoon into the evening. We'll time those through a futurecast and let you know when we're going to see some drier days trying to work back into the forecast coming up.
All right, Ray, thank you. Well, last night after the winds calmed down and the rain moved out, at least 3 local families are now dealing with the tragic fallout of those storms.
Our Mamie Baugh has more on 2 of those deaths, one in Allentown, where a man died when he was electrocuted by live wires, and in Ross Township, a man there was killed after a tree came down on him.
2 different circumstances, but the same heartbreaking situation. Right now, both families find themselves not just cleaning up following the storm, but also making funeral arrangements for their loved ones. You're looking at the remnants of a tree that killed a man when heavy winds and rain took over the region yesterday evening. It snapped off here and came crashing down while Raymond Gordon was outside. This is a photo of him and his dog, Victor. Jill lives right across the street. She knew the 67-year-old for 20 years. They would walk their dogs together.
He was a good man who worked hard and loved his dog. Very friendly, hardworking man. It's very devastating.
The tree was resting on this street. It's since been chopped into pieces. I'm told Gordon doesn't have any children, just 2 pets. Victor and his cat are too. Both are okay. Victor has been at the police department since the tragedy. Gordon's best friend will pick him up. Jill tells me she can't believe her neighbor is gone.
I'm so very sorry that this happened. He was such a nice man, and I'll miss him a lot.
On St. Martin Street in Allentown, people are feeling the same way about a man who worked on their street. He was electrocuted by power lines that came down during the storm.
Dave was the humblest guy. He was such a kind man. 59 years old, unbelievable painter.
59-year-old David Lipinski was doing painting work. A live wire fell on his truck. He tried to move it with a stick. That's when he was electrocuted. Duquesne Light officials urge people to stay away from downed power lines.
If you see wires down, you have to assume that they're energized, and you cannot approach them or use devices that you might think make it safe to move those lines. Allow that to the emergency responders.
Reporting in Ross Township, Mimi Ba, KDKA-TV News.
Yeah, and later we learned that another person was also killed by a falling tree. Andrew Salashi died on Jefferson Road in Franklin Township. State police say he was a passenger inside that vehicle. The high winds blew over the tree as it smashed down onto the car.
As we mentioned a few moments ago, a popular pizza shop owner vows to rebuild after yesterday's storm damaged his well-known business. Now the building that houses Fiore's Pizza has been condemned.
KDKA lead investigator Andy Sheehan there getting reaction.
Well, the city posted this condemned sign after the winds ripped the roof off of the building. But that doesn't mean this beloved pizza parlor is going to be down for long. It's been a South Hills institution for 49 years, but Tuesday's fierce winds rudely interrupted that unbroken chain of pizza production.
Just a big gust of wind and the rain, and I mean, I heard a big loud bang.
One of the family owners, Melinda Rich, rushed outside and saw a big pile of wood on the outside of the building.
It was the roof. I didn't even know what it was.
It blew completely off, blew down onto this road.
Today, workers from Burns and Scalo Construction descended, making quick work of the debris in anticipation of putting on a temporary roof to reopen the business.
Mayor Gainey was here earlier, and he met with the Fiore's and mentioned that if we can get the temporary roof back on, they would lift the condemnation.
Oh, that's great.
I agree. Yeah, got to get those guys back up in business. Yeah. You know, a lot of people like their pizza.
The city says that is a possibility, and it will come out and re-inspect once the roof is in place. But Rich says it won't be long until their signature pies will be serving their loyal clientele again. You guys are going to persevere, I guess, right?
We are, for sure. We're Fiore's. That's all we know how to do.
It'll be up to the city whether Fiore's can reopen, but workers here are trying to beat the next round of rain and finish up this roof by tomorrow. Reporting in Beachview, Andy Sheehan, KDKA-TV News.
Keeping an eye on Westmoreland County now. Yesterday's storm damaged one of the movie screens at the Evergreen Drive-In in Mount Pleasant. This is what's left of one screen. The drive-in was supposed to start its 78th season this coming weekend, but because there are only 2 screens working right now, opening weekend is being pushed back.
And there were downed trees all over the county, including trees that went into homes and cars. And there was a giant pine tree that was uprooted in downtown Greensburg. That has prompted the city to close West Newton Street until the tree can be safely removed.
We were lucky it didn't head towards our building, but the bigger concern would be, obviously it's being held up right now by another tree. If that tree were to let go, it would fall into the road, and then there's a doctor's office and offices over across the road where the tree would affect that building.
And this is the damage left behind at the Grey Goose in Ligonier. Yesterday, a tree fell behind the restaurant, caused a lot of damage to the building, but also brought down power lines and damaged some of the employees' vehicles that were parked there. No one was injured. The restaurant is closed until they have their power turned back on. Not only are residents without power, but so are a lot of businesses and restaurants.
Erica Stanish has more on how that's impacting the area and those who need supplies.
Stores and restaurants with power have been packed all day with customers looking for a warm meal or just supplies post-storm. And those without power have customers showing up anyways. A lot of shoppers were excited to get that front row parking spot at stores like Walmart and Sam's today, only to realize
pulled up and Wasn't many cars in the parking lot, and I thought, okay, so they're not open.
Not open because the power remains out across parts of the region, including here in Pleasant Hills, where many are out on the search to buy what they need post-storm.
I was going to buy a generator because my wife just called and told me, and she's out traveling, that Facebook's saying 5 to 7 days is what Duquesne Power is saying it may take to restore all the power.
Mike Sauter says he, like many others, are searching for ways to turn the lights back on and keep their devices charged.
Battery pack's drained, so yeah, the phone's charged, but now, yeah, that's what I was hoping, hit a restaurant, plug in the charger and 2 outlets, charge the battery pack and charge the phone.
But he says finding a place to eat and charge has become a challenge between restaurants that are closed without power and wait times at the ones that are open.
They're now telling you it's anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour and a half wait to get a seat to get food.
Many businesses in Pleasant Hills are using generators to keep the doors open. Something Sauter hopes to find soon once he finds a store that's open.
Drive to an area where they do have power and try to buy a generator, yeah. Because if it's going to be 5 to 7 days, we got a freezer down in the basement that's got several $1,000s worth of frozen food in it.
We reached out to stores like Walmart and Sam's to learn how soon they could reopen and if they'll have to throw out any of their food supply. A spokesperson got back to us and said they are working to reopen as soon as possible. Reporting in Pleasant Hills, Allegheny County, Erica Stanish, KDKA-TV News.
Well, we all know the Pittsburgh Marathon is one of our city's premier events, and this year a record 45,000 participants from 19 different countries will all be here in the city. But with all of this storm damage, will the races go on as planned? We brought that question to the deputy mayor. Here's what he had to say.
Our objective is to ensure that the marathon can continue as planned. At this time, we're still assessing the condition of streets, roads, traffic signals, intersections.
He says until all emergency damage assessments are in, he cannot give a definite answer. We, of course, will let you know as soon as we hear anything definite.
Well, Mother Nature's wrath has created a significant divot on the grounds of the Oakmont Country Club.
Yeah, of course, it's the site of this year's U.S. Open. Setup has been going on for months now ahead of the tournament in June. So this was a stage and hospitality tent that was in the process of being transformed into what would be the Trophy Club. Now, we heard from the USGA that this setup is located along the fairway of the third hole. You can see all of that damage there from above. Thankfully, crews were still early on in the building process because eventually this area will be full of seating, TVs, restaurant areas, and restrooms. None of that had been installed yet, and no one was hurt. But there is a lot more widespread damage in the Oakmont area. Of course, there are trees on the roads, but police tell us at least 5 homes were damaged by falling trees. Same goes for cars. Police getting reports that a number of cars in a lot of neighborhoods were damaged, even buried in debris still.
And there's this video from Monaca, Beaver County. You can see just how strong the storms rolled through last evening at PetSmart, blowing items from that store across the parking lot. The National Weather Service surveyed damage in Allegheny County today.
So what they're telling us is a strong squall line with straight line winds caused the damage, essentially saying we were hit with kind of a wall of wind. As Chris Hoffman reports, it's been years since something like this has come close to our area.
This is some of the damage the National Weather Service was looking at. This is Mifflin Avenue in Wilkinsburg. A tree down over the road, another one that split between 2 cars and landed on a house. According to some of the meteorologists doing this surveying, they haven't seen this type of weather event in our area in years. While it may have only lasted for a few minutes, the path of destruction from the storm carried on for miles. Municipalities across the region continued the cleanup effort after trees and power lines were scattered about. NWS says winds reached speeds up to 90 to 95 miles per hour. The path of destruction followed that of straight line winds.
If we thought that this was a tornado, this damage, some of it was equivalent to an EF1 tornado.
Chris Leonardi with the local NWS office was part of the team surveying the damage. They looked at the damage in Squirrel Hill, Wilkinsburg, and other nearby communities. He says in his 11 years here in the Pittsburgh area, he's never seen an event quite like this one.
To see this kind of widespread devastation in the Pittsburgh area, the surrounding area, with such, widespread damage is unusual.
The last time he could think of an incident like this would have been when straight-line winds tore through eastern Ohio, the edge of the local NWS coverage area, in June of 2020. Another rarity is the use of the term destructive as a tag in severe thunderstorm alerts.
We saw early on that this was a very unusual, very destructive event, and that's why we went to that high level so that people knew ahead of time.
Leonardi says this serves as a reminder that all severe thunderstorm warnings should be taken seriously and recommendations should be followed. Chris Hoffman, KDKA-TV News.